YouTube, HPJ here. What's up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with Yosenju. Um, this is gonna be more so of just a Beast Warrior beat type of situation because I'm still kind of working on the Pendulum variation of it. So yeah, and I like a lot of the cards. I don't hate them, but it's like the newer cards more synergize with a lot of the pendulum aspect of this deck, where a lot of us are used to the whole running variations of Yosenju that focuses on the one particular type, having so much of its control and benefiting from that control. So yeah, that's one of the variations of Yosenju you'll be seeing. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people don't like it, but I will be trying to build the pendulum variation of it and see how you guys enjoy that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so for my Yosenju lineup, I am running 3 copies of Yosenju, 1, 3 copies of Yosenju, 2, and 3 copies of Yosenju, 3. For the rest of the Yosenjus, I'm running 2 copies of Yosenju Chizuchik, 2 copies of the new Yosenju Izna, and 2 copies of Yosenju Kodan. So that is pretty much it for the Yosenjus and, well, the monsters in the main deck. For the spell cards in the deck, I am running 3 copies of Yosen Training Ground, 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki, 3 copies of Pot of Duality, 3 copies of Call by the Grave, 2 copies of Twin Twister, and 1 copy of Dimension Fissure. So that is it for the spells. Now let's move on to the trap cards of the deck. I am running 3 copies of Yosenju's Secret Moves, 2 copies of Yosenju Sword Swing, 2 copies of Torrential Tribute, and 2 copies of Gozen Match, and 1 copy of Macros Cosmos. So that is it for the main deck, 40 in total. And then for the weird, obscure, and cuckoo amount of extra deck, I'm running 3 copies of Great Fly, 2 copies of Firefighting Daruma Doll, 2 copies of Lightning Chidori, 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, 1 copy of Daigusto Emerald, 1 copy of Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, 1 copy of Castiel, the Sky Blaster Musketeer, 1 copy of Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, 1 copy of Cowboy, and 1 copy of Yu Babuska, the Terribly Tired Tape Eater. So that is it for the main deck, 40 in total. So let's talk about it. Alright, so this is pretty much Wind Beast Beatdown, courtesy of the Yosenju. So if you're not too familiar with them, the lineup pretty much is Yosenju, 1, 2, and 3. These are the 3 monsters that have the ability that when they are normal summoned, you can get an additional normal summon of a Yosenju monster, but cannot share the same name as this Yosenju monster. So in turns, you cannot normal summon a Yosenju, 1, and then summon another Yosenju, 1 off of 1's effect. No, you have to normal summon a different Yosenju monster. So for instance, you can go 1 into 2 into 1, and then 1 can get another 2 on the board, or you can get 3. Any variations, as long as they're not trying to give the additional summon to the same monster that you just put on the board. Now, with that said, this is pretty much the first of the series of Yosenju monsters in the level 4s. Yosenju, 1 has the ability to select 1 face-up card on the field, on your opponent's side of the field, and return that card to hand. Yosenju, 2 has the ability to attack your opponent directly, but battle damage is halved. Or, I'm sorry, is the attack halved or is battle damage? Yeah, battle damage is halved. And then Yosenju, 3 says when a card your Yosenju monster inflicts damage to your opponent, you can search your deck for a Yosenju card and add it to your hand. So you have your searcher, your removal, a bit of your removal, and then someone to inflict instant damage. The other thing about the Yosenjus, all Yosenjus for the most part have, with the exception of a handful, say that during the end phase in which this card is no more special summon, return this card to the hand. So you really do got to get very defensive with the Yosenju in that case. Luckily enough, they do have a lot of those defensive cards, both within their Pendulum setup and within their monster setup. So that is Yosenju Kama 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to move on to Yosenju Sujik, which I'd like to also say is Yosenju Kama 4. Sujik has the ability that you can discard this card from your hand to give one Yosenju monster 1,000 points of attack points till the end of the turn. His other effect is while he's on the field, you can give a Yosenju monster, you target a Yosenju monster and give it 1,000 attack on, to the end of the turn. So this is the honest of the Yosenju. It's not a bad honest either, and I think it's a very useful monster. That can sneak up on your opponent. You can return it to your hand during the end phase of the turn. It was normal summon, I believe. Yeah, normal summon. Because some of them say normal summon, and some of them say summon in general. Or some of them say normal or special summon. Next up is the new Yosenju Izna. Level 4 Wind Beast Warrior Monster, 1000 attack, 800 attack, 1200 defense. Sorry. I was reading something different. Izna has the ability that once a turn, you can use one of her following effects. You can discard her from your hand, and your opponent cannot activate cards in response to the normal summons of Yosenju monsters. So it's a great way to protect them from a lot of nasty hazards and stuff. And then her other effect is if you control another Yosenju monster, draw a card. So her effects are only used once a turn each, but it is still overall beneficial to the archetype. And then we have Yosenju Kodam. Yosenju Kodam is kind of the odd man out with the Beast Warriors because it's a low level Beast Warrior. It's level 1, 0 attack and defense. But it's Kodam's effect that makes Kodam so amazing. And that's why I'm running Kodam. So I'm pretty much running 2 Sujik, 2 Izna, and 2 Kodam. Just to keep the consistency together. I could bump them to 3 if that was ever possible. But I don't want to run too many monsters because I just adore how small of a utility you can run. And it has such awesome defenses to it. So, back to Kodam. Kodam works in well with, of course, the first spell we'll talk about when we get to the spells. We can actually talk about it now, and that is Yosen Training Ground. So, what Kodam does is when it's normal summoned, you can, basically you can tribute this card to target a Yosen Training Ground and place 3 Yosen counters on it. Then, once a turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard to get a normal summon of a Yosenju monster in addition to your normal summon or set this turn. And that effect can only be activated once per turn, as well as attributing to give the Yosen counters to the Training Ground. I'm very upset that Yosen Training Ground is not searchable. It's weird because this deck's tanky. It's this deck's recovery card. And it gives a nice boost to your opponent's monsters. I'm so confused why this card is not a Yosenju card. But I guess they didn't want it to be too broken because it's literally 3 cards that can search out for this card. But yeah, it works. Kodam works in synergy with its archetype. It works in synergy with the Training Ground. It's just overall amazing. So as we take away from the Beast Warriors, we can move on to the spell cards. So the first spell up is Yosen Training Ground. So this card, every time a normal summon or special summon of a Yosenju monster occurs, place 1 counter on it. Then, once a turn, you can activate one of its following effects. You can remove 1 counter to give all Yosenju monsters you control 300 attack until the end of the turn, even if this card leaves the field. Or, you can remove 3 counters from this card and add 1 Yosenju card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So it can recycle, it can search, or it gives an attack buff. And it is amazing either way. And I do believe you can only use this. Yeah, you can only use you can only use the effect of Yosen Training Ground once per turn. So you have to pretty much choose which one you're going to use. But luckily enough, there are cards that can help defend you in that sense of what to use, what not to use. A lot of normal summons, because a lot of it through a lot of the other monsters' effects. And I'm sure a lot of people are very excited about the new Yosenju stuff and see how played out it can be. But I've not seen a lot of people run Training Ground, because it's very hard to get to Training Ground, because it's not a Yosenju card, it's a Yosen card. And most of this archetype, actually all of this archetype, is, well, Yosenju. So, alright. We're going to move from Training Ground, and we're going to move on to Fire Formation Tenki. This card is just awesome in any fire deck. Sorry, not fire deck, any Beast Warrior deck. It's originated in a fire-based deck with nothing but Beast Warrior monsters. But it is in Yosenju because Yosenju can benefit from another card that can help search. What's also beneficial to Tenki is that Tenki allows you to get that little 100 additional attack points. I was actually questioning if I wanted to run Tenki and Tenki, Tensen, and Tensu. The other spells we have in the trap card for Fire Formation, because everything in this deck is Beast Warrior, so why not take advantage of those perks of being a Beast Warrior card? Plus, those additional 100 attacks can come in handy, especially when you're running over stuff. Because the deck doesn't, like, this archetype has, like, those big hitters that it can use, but they're so limited because they either have that whole return effect, or you have to really manipulate things to keep it going because of that. It's just a very sticky situation. But I love Tenki, and I love how resourceful Tenki can be for any deck that runs Beast Warriors and take advantage of it. Just like, I don't know, Gladiator Beast can take advantage of it and do very well off of it. And there's some other Beast Warrior decks, including Fire Fist themselves, that can take advantage of this. Next up is Powder Duality. This deck doesn't really special summon. Honestly, this deck doesn't special summon. So a card like Powder Duality doesn't hurt. If I was running the Pendulum variation, this would hurt. I also don't have any Pot of Extravagances because they're butt ugly expensive. So I am just going to settle with what I have, and I settle with Powder Duality because I like Duality more. I'm not running a very big special summon oriented setup, so I figured just run what you know of. I did take out Card of Demise, and I ain't looking back. I wanted to run Card of Demise really bad in this because that's how a lot of people associate, the Demise setup with Yosenju, because Yosenju don't care about their monster, their what hand. Their monsters are going to come back to it during the end phase, and you can just play around with it. So, yeah. Call by the Grave. I wanted an out to hand traps in case I'm not running any of my own. But this isn't just stop hand traps. No, this can stop your opponent's monster effects that if they have multiple copies of them in the graveyard, and you take advantage of that. And it is really, really helpful with dealing with a lot of nasty things monsters can do in this game. Trust me. So if you don't want to have the obligation to have to run a hand trap, at least run something that can help you deal with them in case you can't get to yours to counteract. Kind of like the Maxi thing. Anyway, Twin Twister. This deck doesn't have too many offenses against back row. So I figured the Twin Twister, and then I can just pick up whatever I can with Yosen Training Ground. Then Dimensional Fissure, because we're going to leave in the Macros Cosmos in just a second as well. But this is the two cards that say Anti-Hand Trap. Anti-Monster Effects in the Graveyard. What card effects in the graveyard? There's most cards in the game say discard to the graveyard to activate this card's effect. Macro and D-Fissure say nope. And that's also part of the reason why Macro and D-Fissure are at 1. Because there are, of course, the remove from play decks that are technically now called banished decks that will benefit from not having cards in the graveyard. They hurt a lot of decks that benefit from the graveyard. It's just a very big oops moment in that the Yosenju can take so much advantage of, because most of the time they're going back to the deck. The only time they're going to lose cards is if the cards are like floating. But if that case, once you get to macro and defissure, if needed, you'll be able to deal with a lot of those things. I think a lot of people like or prefer defissure over macro cosmos because hand trap. And that macro cosmos banishes your spells. You want your spells and traps is accessible because Yosen Training Ground can get a lot of Yosenju cards back. So yeah, that is a little hidden here for that. But now that we're going to move on from our spells, we're going to move on to our traps. I've already talked about the Macros Cosmos. Do be careful of Macro Cosmos because this card has one little nick to it. And that is, this card has the option to special summon. And because there are a lot of players running, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, Solemn Strikes and stuff. Yeah, if you haven't got it by now, because this is one of those cards that has that has the text that you can special summon a monster. Solemn Warning says, I can negate you. And then hurt your plays from that. But the Macros Cosmos is there, like I said, with Dimensional Fissure to help keep stuff out of the grave if need be. I got a lot of keep stuff out the grave and get rid of stuff on the field type of situations. We got to also talk about the first Yosenju trap. That's Yosenju's secret move. So this is pretty much the deck's, the archetype's exclusive Solemn. You just have to control a Yosenju card in order for this card to activate when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated. So no, this is more so of a warning. No, this is just a card. No, this is Solemn. Sorry. Getting a lot of cards mixed up, but it's a Solemn. It can be warning, it can be judgment, all in one. And the other benefit to this is it's not once per turn, as I'm reading it right now, and you have Yosen Training Ground to help you recover it. So it's one of those must-have situations. I'm actually getting a lot fond of this next card, and this is Yosenju's Sword Sling. So it's one of the newer cards, just like Isna from Raging Rampage. What this card does is that you control no monsters, you reveal 2 Yosenju monsters with different names in your hand. You target the same number of cards your opponent controls and return those cards to hand. So you got some disruptions with this card, especially when people start betting on materials, and you can easily just swipe them away without having to deal with them and then just lock your opponent down. Next up is another lockdown card, Gozen Match. Think about Yosenju, and I'll say it now. Yosenju have a thing of loving lockouts, loving the deal with the anti-meta. Like, it's a Beast Warrior deck that can be very anti-meta if it wants to. And can have a lot of stuff to support it, especially with a lot of floodgates. And Gozen and Rivalry being 2 floodgates that this archetype can take advantage of because they're Beast Warrior and they're wind. So, yeah. And I'm just running 2 of, I can run a 3rd, but I want to still keep in the Macro Cosmos. And I don't necessarily hate Yosenju Sword because it can be very, very helpful at its time. The only other card to talk about is Terminal Tribute, and that's simply because, well, during my turn, my cards are going to go back to the hand during the end phase if their effects are negated, and I'm not dealing with like some really stupid cards that would banish my cards anyway. So Terminal Tribute is pretty much just Dark Hole on your opponent's turn. That's like the best way to explain it, is that because I'm not going to really have most of my cards on the field anyway, flip my Torrential Tribute and get rid of what I can with whatever my opponent tries to play around with. Alright, so that is pretty much it for the main. Now we're going to talk about the extra deck. Alright, so because these are Beast Warrior monsters, you do have that option of running some of the Fire Formation Fire Fist monsters. I don't have any of them, so kind of not here, sadly enough. But you can make this extra deck as generic as you want to. You can even throw in, stuff like, Nightmares. There you go. You can run Nightmare Cerberus, Nightmare Phoenix, if you choose to. But I just want to, like I said, keep it beat down. So 2 of the big beat downs for Beast Warriors and Wind monsters have them come in the forms of Fire Durumidol, and Great Fly. Great Fly giving an additional 500 attack to all wind monsters. Earth monsters lose 400. You just really care for the benefits of the buff. And then the recovery effect to help, get a lot of your Yosenju cards back, especially the ones that you probably use to summon the Great Fly. Same thing with Durumidol. Gains 100 attack for each beast warrior, and or winged beast on the board. To summon it, of course, as we know, you can take any combination of beast warrior, and or winged beast to summon it. 2 or more if needed. Well, at least 2. And then it gains the 100 attack and defense for each of the classes each of the types on the board. I said classes. And then whenever it destroys a monster by battle, you can return a beast warrior, or winged beast to your hand. Or that's either been banished or in your graveyard. And then this other effect is you can target a spell or trap you control, a spell or trap your opponent controls, and destroys them. So it gets those out of the way as well. A lot of utility with these. So, I mean, you can change it up if you want to. But those are just some of the options that I wanted to run. And then, speaking of options, I think it's okay to talk about that because I have all the Harpie Lady wind support, why not deck it out here in Yosenju? So, double Lightning Chidori for removal, Tornado Dragon for removal, Dagusto Emerald for recovery, the Ever Faithful Servant, because it's a wind monster and most people would not really see that coming. To have Phantasmal on the board, your opponent can't attack you because there's a Harpie monster on the board, and it is 3 turns of 2,000 points of direct damage. I mean, if you put this under a Great Fly, that's 2,500 points of damage, which can total out to 27. So, yeah. Castell for some more removal. Exciton Knight for more removal. Graveyard Control in the form of Abyss Dweller. Cowboy for that 800 points of damage. And then Babusa in case you do need to stall out and put a lot of things together. That's also why I say you can run Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Cerberus if you want to. Because at a point, if you do want to dodge out the Babuska for another monster, you will have to eventually do that. So you can play Emerald in them if needed. So, yeah, that's like pretty much it for the main extra and just the deck profile itself for Yosenju. So, I will soon have a build up for the Pendulum variation in case people want to see that variation. I'm pretty sure people do. It's going to take a minute because I really want to get focused on that and see how that works out. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you guys want to be informed. Check out the social media sites, and I will catch you guys next time. HJ, signing out.